Dehumanization is important, not just in genocide, but because it plays a critical role in many forms of violence, systemic discrimination, and conflict. Our research with our academic partners in over 12 countries with over 10,000 people showed that there was a relationship between blatant dehumanization and support for violence. Nigeria had been listed as one of the top 10 countries at most at risk for mass atrocities on several watch lists. In 2018, 1,500 people in the Middle Basin died as a result of clashes between predominantly Christian farmers and predominantly Muslim herders.
The personal cost of dehumanization and interreligious violence in Nigeria is something that Michael Sodipo knows from first-hand experience.
My name is Michael Olufemi Sodipo. I came here in 1985, shortly after my high school, and ever since then I've been living in Kano. Living in a Muslim-dominated area, as a Christian, I know what it means, especially in the early days. It was full of love, joy, and happiness. But sometimes in 2004, an incident that happened in Plateau, whereby we have a crisis between Christians and Muslims, and we also had reprisal attack in Kano, and I was almost lost my life. And that was a turning point where I was able to see face to face how difficult it is as a Christian to live in a Muslim-dominated area. This is a community I've lived for 19 years, and I'm seen as a stranger. While I was being chased in the morning to be killed by Muslims, I was also being sheltered at night by the same Muslims.
At Beyond Conflict, we use an approach that we call the science-informed design process. And the idea is to bridge practice and science to develop effective interventions. In Nigeria, we wanted to understand how to reduce conflict and violence between Christians and Muslims. So as part of this first step, we have to understand this issue in Nigeria, where it's happening. So to do that, we did a few things. First, we looked to see, is there existing research and data already out there in the world that can tell us about this problem? We found some, but we also found that there was a gap.
The first research we did was a telephone interview with 1,000 people spread across Kaduna and Plateau to get a sense of dehumanization was in fact taking place.
We also wanted to make sure that we heard from local voices. So we organized a 2-day workshop in collaboration with a local peace-building organization. And we brought together about 25 people who were peace builders, researchers, and media experts.
Once we had the results and we had analyzed them and saw, in fact, there was dehumanization, we decided to study it much more in depth and do a much larger scale study specific to one area in Kaduna.
We decided to do this research in Kaduna because Kaduna is a region of Nigeria with a long history of interreligious violence and tension.
What we found when we visited Kaduna was that the tension between the Christian and Muslim groups was palpable. Christians live in the south and the Muslims live in the north. There's a bridge that unites the two communities, and there were stories of people who had never crossed the bridge. Today, when you see the headlines in newspapers, you see that it continues to have a large number of people who have been killed as a result of reprisal attacks. Sometimes the word bandits is used, but in fact, upon further reading, you see that it's predominantly Christian and Muslim groups who are clashing.
In the second step, we use these insights from the ground and from science to develop an intervention that we think will be effective in addressing these social problems.
A co-design process with our local partners is an integral part of the project. One of our main local partners, Michael Sodipo of Peace Initiatives Network, will be overseeing the peace building component of it and making sure that we can reach as many peace builders as possible throughout the country.
We formed Peace Initiative Network to see how we could work with young people and to see how we could change their mindset how we could make them see themselves as leaders, not only of Nigeria, but global leaders. And that's what we've been doing for the past 16 years.
In parallel, our research team looked to the science, and we said, what does the science tell us about how we can reduce conflict between Christians and Muslims? And through that, we identified an approach called vicarious contact. And what this means is, imagine your favorite TV show or your favorite movie. There are probably characters in this TV show or movie that you identify with. So now imagine that the characters in your favorite TV show are from two conflicting groups. And now you see these characters come together on the TV, interacting, learning that they have a lot in common, and in the end, realizing that they could get along quite well. So we worked with an organization called Equal Access International, with a local expertise in radio, to develop this 15-minute radio program that features this vicarious contact between a Christian and a Muslim character.
Ai baka gaya min kana kallon football ba. Kai fan ɗin Arsenal ne?
Ni mara ma Arsenal baya, Allah kiyaye abokina. Ban taɓa goyon bayan Arsenal ba, Man U kawai.
Wow, hakan yayi daidai. Ai ni ma jan ne.
I and my team in Equal Access, including Beyond Conflict, we used the feedbacks from the workshop to create a script.
We wanted to test this intervention to make sure that it was actually effective. So to do that, we worked with a local researcher, Mohammed Bukar, who built a team of local interviewers from Kaduna.
I coordinated the field research on the ground in Kaduna. My responsibility involved making sure that the data collection process was implemented accordingly.
We made sure that our enumerators completely understood the contents of the consent script, which includes the fact that we tell the respondent that the information they give, their responses, would completely be confidential. They will only be used for research purposes.
This is the overview of the training, then expectation for enumerators, survey schedules, and so on.
We are taught on how to approach the respondents. We are taught on how to select our sample respondents. We are taught about how to select the household.
Yanzu zan kunna maka shirin rediyo mai tsawon minti 10 kamar minti 15 kamar yadda na gaya ma? Haka ne. Sai ka ji.
Duk da ina da damuwa musamman ma akan abokin aikin da aka haɗa mu aiki tare.
To menene matsalan shi kuma?
Duk da yawan ma'aikatan da muke da su, amma aka haɗa ni da wani wai shi Balarabe, wanda za mu yi aiki da shi har na tsawon wata 3.
So to measure the impact of this vicarious contact radio program, we compare people who are randomly assigned to listen to this vicarious contact program to people who are assigned to listen to a program about safe health practices. And by doing this, we can see whether the people who hear this vicarious contact radio program are now reporting less dehumanization, less support for violence, fewer negative ideas about the other group. So we were very excited when we saw the results of this research. What we found is that people who are randomly assigned to listen to this vicarious contact radio program are now reporting less support for interreligious violence. They're now saying that the other group is not as threatening as maybe they would have thought before. And they're also now endorsing fewer negative traits about the other group. Like they don't think the other group is as fanatical, immoral, or violent. So we were really encouraged in seeing these results because it makes us think, okay, this approach is something that we can try and scale up. The next phase of this research is step 3 of our science-informed design process, which is now that we found something that seems to be effective, we'll scale up the programming. We're working with Arera 24, a Hausa language TV station in Nigeria, to integrate a similar storyline that we had in this radio program in our research into an incredibly popular and widespread TV drama in Nigeria.
We will also be holding workshops with peace builders in which they can know better how to tackle dehumanization and support for violence in their own communities. We will be holding these workshops across the country, and we'll also be conducting research.
There's need for us to also live in unity and to also coexist.
Despite our differences of religion, we have many thousand things in common.